If you are serious about shaving hours off your post-production time, especially with long interviews, there is a better workflow than scrubbing massive timelines. Stop wrestling with deeply nested multicam clips when you can leverage intelligent automation to do the heavy lifting. Hear me out completely on this game-changing approach I've recently adopted for my projects. I used to build my sequences the entirely old-fashioned way, which involved several tedious steps. That process started with transcribing everything externally, often using a dedicated transcription service. Then I would paste those timestamps into a separate document, usually Google Docs for easy access. The next manual chore was trying to line up that separate text document with my actual video timeline. While reading the transcript felt faster than constantly scrubbing the footage, it was still a colossal amount of manual labor. Everything changed when I started using a new workflow centered entirely around a tool called Vizard. This new system completely transforms how I attack long-form interviews and content repurposing tasks. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Robert, and I'm glad you're here for this breakdown. If you are new here, I consistently post filmmaking tips alongside creative business strategy content. Today, I'm walking you through exactly how I use this platform to transform long interviews and multicam shoots into ready-to-post social media clips. And the best part is that we achieve this without losing any of that crucial human touch in the final product. Let me be clear. This is not some high-pressure sales pitch for a product you don't need. It is literally the precise methodology I use to cut my overall workflow time in half consistently. This allows me to get significantly more high-quality content out the door every single week. So, let's revisit my old process for a moment, because it was messy but undeniably familiar to many editors. First, I'd perform the multicam synchronization inside my main non-linear editor. Next, I would meticulously pull out a clean, isolated audio track for external processing. I would then export a very large chunk of that raw synchronized media file. After waiting, I'd get the resulting text file back from the professional transcription service I used. Then came the laborious step of pasting all that text into a separate reference document again. From there, I was forced to hunt through the actual footage to manually find those key moments I wanted to use. Reading the transcript absolutely beats constantly scrubbing the timeline, I grant you that much. But you still needed to jump back into your NLE to actually make the initial cuts and edits. You had to create sub-sequences for every little piece, essentially rebuilding the entire edit from scratch. It certainly worked well enough, but let's be honest, it was undeniably slow for high-volume work. Now, Vizard completely flips that entire established script on its head with its approach. Instead of immediately dragging clips into a sequence, you simply upload your long-form footage first. This footage can be a multi-hour interview, a complex podcast repurposing session, or even a massive multicam shoot. Once uploaded, the platform's artificial intelligence executes 3 distinct actions that save you serious production time. First, the AI automatically identifies and flags those viral, high-engagement moments within the recording. Second, it offers the capability to auto-schedule those identified clips for publishing across your social channels. You can set the desired posting cadence once, and the system handles the distribution timing for you. And third, it gives you one centralized, organized content calendar for managing everything. You can tweak and manage all your outgoing content from this single, easily accessible hub. But the real magic lies in how this intelligent system fits perfectly into an editor's established creative brain. The platform ensures that you, the editor, maintain complete control over all the final creative decisions. Vizard simply handles the time-consuming grunt work of actually locating the creative gold inside the footage. Now, let me walk you through the actual step-by-step process I use every time I start a project. First, I prep my multicam session exactly the way I always have done it in the past. This means syncing all the individual camera angles perfectly and ensuring the raw audio is completely clean. I always keep my original reference timeline intact as the master record for the full conversation. But here's the pivot point. Instead of building the rough cut by hand, I upload that master file to Vizard. The platform instantly and automatically transcribes the entire recorded session for immediate review. More importantly than just the text, it intelligently marks up potential highlight clips for you. These suggestions are based on factors like pacing, vocal emphasis, audience laughter, and even social virality indicators. Essentially, the AI goes through and finds the precise little bits that viewers genuinely want to stick around and watch. Once the upload and initial processing is totally finished, you are presented with a powerful transcript view. This view is significantly smarter than just receiving a plain, unformatted text dump from an older service. Vizard presents those identified highlights to you as easy-to-skim, bite-sized clip segments. You can actually skim through the entire potential selection in just a matter of seconds. If you happen to be working with several different interviews in the same project, the system is incredibly smart. Vizard will automatically cluster similar moments together so you can compare answers across different subjects easily. That specific capability is absolutely huge when you are synthesizing a final narrative from multiple takes. Now we get to the part of the workflow that I genuinely love the most, the search functionality. Instead of typing a term like Navy SEAL into a mangled, messy transcript and hoping for the best, Vizard does better. The search function immediately drops you right into the exact relevant clip with all the surrounding context displayed. Did you want to pull that entire long anecdote about someone's early training? With one simple click, you can drag that whole segment exactly where you want it in your draft edit. You can queue it up immediately as a short piece or add it directly to your longer form narrative assembly. You retain the power to label different speakers accurately and correct any transcription errors directly in line. Tweaking the generated captions is also exceptionally easy, which is crucial because auto captions are rarely perfect straight out of the box. But please do not assume for a second that you are losing any professional creative control over the final output. I still meticulously lay out the initial rough cut structure using the suggested clips as my foundation. Then, Vizard makes it incredibly simple to export those carefully chosen clips right back into Premiere or Final Cut. I send them back over so I can focus solely on fine-tuning camera cuts, color grading, or advanced sound design elements. My standard flow now prioritizes letting the AI surface the very best material first. I use the platform to quickly assemble the initial rhythm and rough order of the whole piece. Finally, I bring the combined, selected clips back to my familiar NLE just for the final cosmetic polish. This means I stop wasting valuable hours searching endlessly for usable material. All my effort is then shifted toward purely creative decisions and essential finishing work that only I can do. Let's review a few specific features that truly change the entire game for my business operations. First up is the automatic editing function, specifically targeting viral clips, which is incredibly powerful. Vizard doesn't just chop video based on simple silence or fixed duration lengths like older systems. Instead, it deeply analyzes the content, the energy level, and the topic relevance to suggest performant clips. I can choose to accept those AI suggestions completely as is for super quick social drops, or I can give them minor tweaks to ensure perfect alignment with our specific brand tone requirements. The second major time saver is the integrated auto-schedule feature for cross-platform distribution. You set your desired posting frequency just one time and Vizard takes over the deployment timing. You no longer need to babysit every single upload or manually manage individual platform requirements. The AI spaces those posts out thoughtfully in a way that maximizes potential reach for each piece. It also intelligently avoids content cannibalization, making sure your efforts aren't wasted. Feature number 3 is the content calendar, which consolidates everything you need in one visible place. You can preview exactly what content is scheduled for which specific day and time slot. If something needs to shift, you just drag and drop the clip to an entirely new date in the calendar. It helps you keep track of what has already been published versus what is still waiting in the queue. For teams managing multiple contributors, this centralized calendar is an absolute lifesaver, trust me. It completely eliminates those awkward, confusing spreadsheets and the stress of missed deadlines. Now let's compare this to the text-based editing you might find inside your standard NLEs. Adobe's own built-in transcription and text-based editing features are genuinely great for certain specific use cases. However, that functionality still firmly requires you to remain inside that complex timeline environment the whole time. That's perfectly fine if your main task is heavy creative assembly within Premiere Pro. But if you are a creator focused on pumping out many short clips from one long video, that method quickly becomes clumsy. External services like Rev are usually very accurate, but they introduce external steps to your overall process. You have to pay for the service, then you have to wait for the delivery, then you must import, and then manually match the text to the media. Vizard effectively collapses that entire external loop down into one unified action right on the platform. And sure, other platforms do offer auto-clipping features, but they often feel extremely rigid in execution. They frequently result in either short, fixed-duration clips or noisy automated cuts that require significant cleanup time. The clips that Vizard generates feel genuinely human because the AI is looking for natural emphasis points. It prioritizes true narrative moments rather than just relying on peaks in the audio decibel levels. In summary, other tools might cost more, they constantly interrupt your workflow, or they force too much cleanup later on. Vizard delivers that speed advantage you desperately need without ever sacrificing your editorial authority. Let me show you a real-world example to solidify just how effective this method truly is. I recently managed a 2-hour panel interview featuring 4 different guests and an abundance of great side stories. Instead of making potentially 100 manual cuts across that long recording, I just uploaded the entire session into the platform. The system immediately suggested approximately 40 distinct highlight clips, all ranked by their potential virality score. I was able to skim through those 40 suggestions in about 20 minutes total, which is crazy fast. From that list, I hand-selected the absolute best 15 clips for immediate repurposing across social platforms. I quickly labeled which clips were destined for Instagram Reels, which were for TikTok, and which for YouTube Shorts. I then quickly adjusted a few of the default crop presets to make sure the aspect ratios were perfect for each platform. Vizard then exported optimized versions tailored for every single one of those specific platforms automatically. The system even scheduled those shorts to publish out over the following 3 weeks without any further input from me. While that was all happening, I took 5 of the longer, more narrative clips back into Premiere for deeper refinement. I used those 5 to craft a cohesive, themed mini-episode that required more artistic control. The final result was a full week's worth of diverse content completely ready to go in under 1 hour of active editing time. Beyond the main features, there are some seriously underrated benefits to this connected workflow. Because Vizard constantly keeps the original transcript linked directly to every single generated clip, reordering is simple. You can copy and paste entire chunks of dialogue without ever having to hunt down the source media again. Imagine needing to move a specific anecdote from minute 42 all the way to minute 12 of your current edit. You simply copy that clip in the platform's content timeline and paste it right where you need it to land. Vizard expertly maintains all the necessary timing metadata, ensuring your final exports remain perfectly clean. It genuinely feels like you are editing using a textual storyboard that is directly tethered to the actual footage. The process for handling captions becomes significantly easier with this integrated approach as well. If you fix a typo right there in the transcript, Vizard can automatically regenerate clean closed captions for any exported clip. You completely avoid the frustrating need to resync or manually adjust captions in a separate application afterward. This specific aspect is a massive time saver when you are required to post content across multiple platforms with different caption rules. Finally, let's touch on collaboration, which is a critical component for any growing content team. If you work alongside a producer or a dedicated social media manager, this changes everything. Vizard's shared workspaces and centralized calendar mean everyone on the team is looking at the exact same single plan. This eradicates those dreaded version control nightmares and those late-night "did you publish that yet?" messages. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and it's a perfectly fair question to ask right now. You might be asking, isn't this just another black box AI that makes fundamentally bad creative decisions? That is a very valid concern, and my answer is that Vizard is designed to be a powerful tool, not a replacement for the director. It excels at finding the best potential candidates and handling the most repetitive, non-creative parts of the process. Crucially, the ultimate responsibility for crafting the final narrative message remains entirely with you, the creator. The actual difference is that you begin your actual editing from a vastly superior, already refined starting point. Instead of spending hours just trying to locate usable moments, you spend that time polishing and adding creative flair. You get to focus on adding great B-roll, tightening the actual narrative flow, and making that clip truly sing. So there you have it. That is my Vizard-forward workflow for drastically speeding up interview and multicam edits. You upload the master file, let the AI intelligently surface all the best creative gold inside. Correct any necessary transcript bits, use those highlights to build your fast rough cut structure. Export only what needs final cosmetic refinement back to your preferred editor. And finally, utilize the built-in scheduler and calendar tools to make the actual publishing phase completely painless. This approach has cut my content repurposing time down dramatically across the board. It allows me to be far more consistent with my output on all my active social media channels. If you are already using text-based workflows or external transcription, I urge you to try this swap. Integrate Vizard for just one project and diligently time how long it takes versus your established old way of doing things. I genuinely believe you will be surprised at the amount of time you actually end up saving yourself. And if you have already tried Vizard or any similar powerful AI tool, please share your experience below. Tell me what specific features you preferred or what you still felt needed improvement in the current landscape. Do you still prefer doing absolutely all your assembly work inside a traditional NLE like Premiere Pro? Or are you finally comfortable letting the AI handle that initial heavy lifting and discovery process for you? If you found this detailed breakdown helpful for your editing challenges, please consider smashing that like button right now. Maybe hit subscribe if you want more practical, actionable editing workflows delivered right to your feed. And most importantly, drop a specific comment below detailing your current biggest repurposing pain points for me to read. I will be reading through all of those to shape future content based on what you actually need. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next video with even more tips on how to work smarter. Remember, the goal is always to work smarter, not just harder, when you are creating your next piece of content. That is it for today's deep dive. Go try this new method out and let me know what you think. Peace out.